The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed. Only the names have been changed.
Man's Search for Meaning details Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl's horrifying experiences in Nazi concentration camps, along with his psychological approach of logotherapy, which is also what helped him to survive and show how you can and must find meaning in your life. In Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, he shows humanity how to find meaning in life, even in the harshest of conditions. The existential vacuum is a widespread phenomenon of the 20th century. This is understandable. It may be due to a twofold loss which man had to undergo since he became a truly human being. At the beginning of human history, man lost some of the basic animal instincts, in which an animal behavior is embedded and by which it is secured. In addition to this, however, man has suffered another loss in his more recent development. No instinct tells him what he has to do, and no tradition tells him what he ought to do. Sometimes he does not even know what he wishes to do. Instead, he either wishes to do what other people do, conformism, or he does what other people wish him to do, totalitarianism. Viktor Frankl. I don't think any combination of words can paint a picture gruesome enough to describe what existing inside a Nazi concentration camp must have been like. Viktor Frankl was one of the few who survived in a place where your chances of dying are higher than those of living on any given day. After 3 years in various concentration camps, his camp Turkheim was liberated, upon which he returned to Vienna, where he was born. Frankl spent the rest of his life teaching what he learned during the worst of times, that people can and must find meaning in their lives even if all they know is tremendous suffering. It is called logotherapy, and he has made him one of the key figures of modern psychology. The 3 key lessons from his world-famous 1946 book, Man's Search for Meaning. Sometimes, the only way to survive is to surrender to death. Your life has its own meaning, and it's up to you to find it in any given moment. Use paradoxical intentions to make your fears go away. Are you ready for some of the toughest lessons anyone has ever had to learn? Let's show Viktor Frankl some respect by learning from him. Lesson number 1. Being indifferent to death allowed people to survive. Frankl said all concentration camp prisoners went through the several phases after arriving at the camp. This is what made him and some of his surviving peers different from those who perished, and it's quite paradoxical. In order to survive, you have to be okay with dying at any moment. This sort of indifference to death, the perspective of merely existing, not living, allowed prisoners to shield their minds from the terrors around them and do what was necessary to survive. All of the things we take for granted today were severely limited in the concentration camps: food, clothing, sleep, rest. By surrendering to the present and not spending 1 second thinking to the future, prisoners summoned the apathy they needed to. For example, grab a vital pair of shoes from a dead body or hide in a pile of manure to avoid being led to the gas chambers. Sometimes, the only way to survive is to surrender to dying. Lesson number 2. Your life has its own meaning, and it's up to you to find it at any given moment. If you ask any great chess player what a best move in chess is, they'll just stare at you with a puzzled face. There is no such thing. There is, however, a best move in any particular consultation of pieces on the board. Of course, there's a best move in any game situation, but no general move beats all of others. The meaning of life is the same way. There is no general meaning of life, and not even one singular meaning of your own life. Your life's meaning is not only unique to you. This is what logotherapy claims, and it flips the common misconception that you have to find your life's meaning first, before you're able to live your life upside down. Instead, how you act and how much responsibility you bring to the decisions you make determines how big your sense of meaning in life is. For example, Frankl found meaning when stumbling through the night, barefoot, across icy rocks and through big puddles, forced to work by the Nazi guards, simply by thinking of his wife, imagining her face, up in the colds and feeling bliss in a moment of love. Lesson number 3. Try to force your fears to come true to make them go away. Another thing logotherapy does is enable people by focusing on their internal state of mind instead of external factors, thus giving them a sense of control over their own life. For example, if you're afraid of something stuttering in front of your friends, it might seem like your environment, i.e. your friends being there, is what's at fault. But by using something Frankl calls paradoxical intention, you can turn this around and take control. In reality, you only start stuttering because you're afraid. You'll start stuttering. Paradoxical intention flips this around by getting you to try and force your fears to come true. In this example, you should do exactly what you're afraid of and try to stutter as much as possible when you're around your friends. You'll notice that as soon as you try to force it to happen, it won't work, and eventually lose your fear of stuttering in front of your friends altogether. We must never forget that we may also find meaning in life, even when confronted with a hopeless situation, when facing a fate that cannot be changed. For what then matters is to bear witness to the uniquely human potential as its best, which is to transform a personal tragedy into a triumph, to turn one's predicament into human achievement. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.